My mother and I was abused, starvation was used, lack of sleep, beatings, hanging animals, leeches were used to extract blood. These are all things that are used in the midst of rituals. The story that I'm going to tell you today is a story of Voodoo or Hoodoo. What it is the energy. The guy that took us, his family practiced magic, and what I would call it is adverse magic. The reason why you would want to do magic through a child, and the reason why magic is done through a child, and in religion, if you can remember, if anyone remembers the books of religion, it actually tells you that a child will lead them. Now, he is doing magic, so he automatically, when you're doing voodoo, you must understand astrology. Now, he had my mother. My mother is a part of my DNA. If you're going to work magic through a child and you have her mother, you have pretty much the potion that you need, because you have the mother and you have the child, and they were running magic. So his consciousness was or is controlling her consciousness. She's been beaten into submission. She's been starved. She's the same things that have happened to me. My mother is what we call a zombie in Voodoo. In that consciousness that she's in, she can't process the truth. Me having to call this man father means everything, because in magic, when you're doing magic, you must call them father, meaning that you must agree. When you call them mother and father, that's why in priesthood, in Catholic Church, when you go in, you go in, hello, Father. I come to confess my sins to Father. You are submitting to them when you call them mother and father. That is pretty much solidifying whatever ritual they're going for. So that's why you use children in ritual. That's why it says suffer the little children. You must be very careful of who you let watch your children, and you must also be very careful of when you give your children another name. Another part of the solidifying the ritual was when she took away my father's name and she put his name on my back, her husband's name. She gave the child the husband's name when the child didn't marry the husband. But in Voodoo, that's what it is. You're marrying the spirits, because all of us are spirits. But you do the magic through particular rituals of starvation. You do magic through blood rituals. You do magic through the animal sacrifice rituals. And all of these things will be done through either women or children. My earliest memory was when I saw the guy, my mother's husband, throw a table at her, a glass table at her. I was about maybe 2 or 3, and I remember running around the corner. Again, my mother was there, but I couldn't talk to her. The only person I could speak to was him. I didn't know when my birthday was. I would see the Christmas, I would see Christmas lights around the neighborhood, and I would know that the end of the year was coming, so I knew that I would get older. I was never allowed to talk to my mother. We can be in the same room, but I was never allowed to speak to her. So that's what my childhood was like. From the time I can remember, I would sleep in the garage. My mother would wake me up and put me in the garage every night to sleep. I didn't know that this was not the way it was. You're a child, and I didn't have anyone to talk to or explain. Like I said, I couldn't talk to my mother. It wasn't until I went to school that I realized that this was not the way it was supposed to be. And it wasn't until I got a friend I was even able to talk about it. When I would go to school, I couldn't really participate in anything, because as a child, I would remember my spots would hurt. And that would be the beatings that I would have the night before. You just know your spots hurt, and this is just the way it is. So every night I would sleep in the garage. If it was a school day, that's how I would know it was a school day, because I would get out of the garage. Because back in the day, if you missed too many days of school, the school would come looking for you. It was called a truancy officer. I thank the heavens for that officer, because If it was not for that officer, I probably would be somewhere. But that's how I knew it was a school day. Basically, I would get let out of the garage and be sent on the school bus. And I thank the heavens for the lunch ladies. The lunch ladies would feed me because I didn't have any money, and I was half the time clean or whatever. I didn't know how to clean myself. I was doing the best I could. Again, I couldn't talk to my mother. My mother was there, but I was not allowed to converse with her. I haven't talked to my mother in over 10 years now. It's not because of anything other. I know that she went through the same trauma I went through, but it's because I consider her to be a zombie. And a zombie meaning that she can't process the truth. Like my father, me knowing my real name and my father and all of that, all of the things that he beat into her. If I was to go over there, my mother's CPU would be shocked because she's been beaten into submission, and the truth and the reality is not her own. She's on a path that's not her own. That's why one of the key books of religion tells you that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Just the sheer understanding. Some people won't take this information. Some people won't even take this information and process it because they are given a religious system that is based on mythology, these mythical characters, these mythical Allahs and these mythical Jesus. But in actuality, these mythical characters represent energy. And if I can tell you that there are people that understand alchemy and everything like you are putting your energy into these stories. And that's why these stories are coming out. Energy is real. And when you harness it, it produces things. So my point to doing this is to telling people is that when you are commingling with these spirits, every spirit has a counterpart. Every spirit, it's a binary system. So when you are dealing with spirits, they all have characters. So you must understand that when you put a name on a child that has nothing to do with them, all of those characters are coming for them. All of those characters that you just put, all of the name change that you gave them, you just changed that child's character by changing the child's name. And I want people to know that people are practicing voodoo and don't even know it. The only information that it has is this new character that you've given it. And it has nothing to do with the child. The first thing your oppressor did was change your name and change your location. That's what do. I went he changed me, he moved us from Miami to Atlanta. And that's how he changed my name. He knew in order to change a child's name, you have to make it public notice. He ran an ad in the paper in Atlanta, but he knew that my family was not in Atlanta. My family was in Miami. They would have never gotten to a paper in Atlanta. So you gotta be careful because every energy is attached to multiple energy. Multiple. It's no different than when you baptize a child or when you take a child to church and you give it back, you give it to you baptize them, you're giving it back to whatever God you're serving. Being locked in the garage. Literally, I was locked in the garage from the time I was born to the time they put me out. It was Jekyll and Hyde. My mother was putting makeup on black eyes. She was putting shirts on me because he would never hit me in my face, but he would always bruise my body as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So I was doing what my mother was doing. I was hiding, and that I wasn't telling anybody and she wasn't telling anybody. And that creates memory loss for a child because there's nowhere to go. If you're 2 and 3 and you don't even have language, but when you get language, you can't use it because there's nowhere to tell. There's no mother there's nobody to talk to. So it corrupts the child's memory because the child has to do something with these memories. The first thing I had to do was I had to deal with these memories that were coming out of my head from everywhere because there was nowhere to go with them then and there was nowhere to go with them now. So now I'm a practitioner of voodoo, and I understand it because black magic, or I would say both hand magic, was done on me. So I understand astrology based on Voodoo, and I understand the voodoo based on astrology. So that's how my life is now. These things are real, and they are, whether you understand them or not. I want people to understand that you're in a vortex. You're in a sun system, and whether you understand it or not, you're in a system of 12 and it's moving. You're in a system of 12 planets and it's moving. And sometimes we're in the 13th when Pluto comes in and out. So at the end of the day, whether you understand what's happening or not, you're in a system that's moving. And that is really what you should be focusing on. I would tell people to look up and numerology. That's the mystical connection of numbers. I would tell people to look up at astrology. Astrology is the study of celestial bodies. I would say that the thing that you're experiencing on this planet, if you don't look up, it's chaos. Remember, you're trying to direct your path. If you put somebody on the wrong path, they're going to encounter the wrong spirits.